6 years, I would say. 6 years.
So you're fluent?
Yes, very.
Oh, no. I live here for a year now.
Oh, do you like it?
I do it a lot, yeah. I'm
fun.
studying the language, but
Oh, that's
don't
good.
test me, please.
No problem.
And are you a rain person? Do you like the rain?
Not my kind of fan, but sometimes it's good to have a little bit of rain, you know, because then you can focus on the inside date and then...
I do like it now because I'm under a roof. I don't want to be out of this garden.
Don't worry, if it rains, I'll be your umbrella. Don't worry.
When I first met her, she was very nice. She was very nice. She was very tall as well. I actually didn't expect her to be that tall. I thought she was like a shy type kind of person, but then she felt more comfortable with me, even though we first met, and then we actually spoke a lot than I thought.
So do you want to like take pictures as well?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah?
Yeah. I do like
like
this
Okay.
tree. Yeah, the colors are great.
Okay. One, two, three. Maybe like a closer one.
Okay.
One more.
Yes.
One, two. Oh,
Great, thank you.
actually, you look so good as well.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Oh, I think you'll love this guy.
Yeah, he's great, right?
And you can take it home.
It reminds me, I was in the kindergarten group. I was in a giraffe group,
Oh, really?
but people call me giraffe too because of my height.
Ah, same. That's why I picked it, because, you know, giraffe.
Yeah, I see it.
Tall, but soft on the inside.
Yeah.
When I actually gave her the giraffe, and then I explained to her, oh, it represents me, she kept holding on to it, which I felt really nice. Even off camera, she kept holding on to the giraffe, which I felt really nice about it.
Maybe like next time we can go to a zoo and then have, you know, more fun date if
That
you want.
sounds fun. Yeah, maybe with better weather.
Oh, of course.
Today's good, the garden.
Oh, the rain is really bad. And actually, I know there's a cafe around here, but yeah, shall we go? Yeah, let's go. Oh, hang on. Just close. Okay. Okay, just hold this. It's okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, yeah, yes.
When we left the greenhouse, because of the rain, he stopped me before going out and rolled my pants up. Yeah, we started very quickly to share an umbrella too. So we kind of hold each other under the umbrella. It felt very nice under the cold weather. It made me a little warmer inside.
When I first saw the jeans, I think, oh, it was too long. I think maybe it's better to just roll it up naturally. But then I didn't know that it would be like a charm. So I just kind of just did it. And then, you know, it was inconvenient for her to use her umbrella and mine. So I was like, oh, do you want to just use it together? For that kind of gesture, rather than calculate, I think it just went out more natural for me.
Oh, this is the ramen. Do you want to eat ramen? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Shall we try to take the ramen together?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see what we have.
I prefer something less spicy.
Less
No
spicy?
spice.
Okay, okay. I think this one's a bit spicy.
Yeah.
Shall we try this one, the Jin ramen?
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it's like a mild flavor. I think that would be
Okay.
good. I think. And then if
The
you
second
want
one.
second one, let's try less spicy with this one.
Yeah.
Japanese tea. You like that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so do you want to put the drinks together?
Yeah.
Try like the light fruit juices or...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a perfect match, right?
Yeah.
And then, shall we take like a snack as well?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, would you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Oh, I'll take it. Okay. We're upstairs?
Yes.
Oh, I think there's like a book where you can do like drawings.
Yeah.
Shall we go check it out?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I think it's like a painting sketchbook. I'm not that good, but I'll try my best.
You have what? Brown eyes.
Brown eyes. I have like hazel eyes, I would say. Oh, it's very difficult to draw that. Oh.
Are you happy? Should I give you a smile?
Oh, I would love that. Yeah. So, like, what's your, ambition here in the future? You want to stay here?
I think I want to stay here. I never really plan a lot far into my life, but I always try to reach always higher and higher. Like, I kind of want to know how far I can go. Like, kind of reaching for the cloud stars. I don't know.
Like chasing your dreams.
Right.
That kind of.
Because I'm from a really small town, and I could have, like, a few years ago, when I was a kid, I could have never imagined working as a model. Or even like working on the other side of the country like a model. So what about you?
For me, I actually just used to be working in a computer area. I used to work as an IT technician kind of thing back then. But then for me, I also had like a small dream of working in the Korean and like industry.
Yeah.
Because I always thought I don't want to regret, my dreams of becoming like a model or actor kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of saved up a lot of like money and then just took everything here to start a new life, I would say. And then, yeah, I think it got to where I am today.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy. So like, yeah, I think mine's done, I would say. It's not as good as I think it's do you want to swap it?
Yeah.
See. I don't know.
What do you think? Is it close?
I think real life is much more good looking. I think it's more like a sunshine boy, right? Yeah.
Looks like denim jacket.
Yeah. Oh wow.
The shocking thing was, she drew better than me. I drew so bad. I felt so embarrassed as well. But we had our laughs, so it was good. Yeah.
In the cafe when we were drawing each other, I really had a really fun time with him. Him pointing out my eyes was really sweet.
Wow. That looks good.
Yeah, it smells great.
Yeah.
잘 먹겠습니다.
잘 먹겠습니다. Oh, you're left-handed as well? Oh, same. Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's no trouble when we sit next to each other.
Ah.
With a right-handed, you always bump into the elbows.
That's why I always try to sit like in the corner
yeah.
so I don't fight with the other guy.
I can relate, yeah.
Let me do it for you. I think it's really hard as well.
Yeah, I think it's hot.
Let's try like this. Oh. Is that okay?
That's great.
It's good.
Thank you. I heard it's common to eat that at the Hangang.
Yeah, I think it's like the local culture thing.
Yeah. So that's my first time here
Oh, really?
doing it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. You like it? Like, it's... I thought it'd be spicy, although it's actually not that
spicy?
spicy. I think it's pretty good. You like, cheers?
Yes.
It's good. Having ramen and then like a cool
Yes,
drink,
so
really
yeah.
refreshing.
And at the cafe that he helped me choose the right ramen, that because I'm very new to them and they're all in Korean, he listened to what I would like to have and recommended me very nicely.
I am here to look for my princess. Where is she?
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right.
한반도에서 가장 먼저 아침이 시작되는 곳. 대한민국 최동단에 위치한 섬. 천연기념물 제336호로 지정된 자연유산. 이곳은 경상북도 울릉군 울릉읍 독도입니다. 그런데 일본이 대한민국 고유 영토인 독도를 일본 영토라며 일방적으로 주장하고 있어요. 그 때문에 독도와 관련된 잘못된 정보들이 퍼지고 있답니다. 안녕하세요. 저는 방크에서 활동하는 성혜승 연구원입니다. 방크는 1999년에 설립된 후 지속적으로 독도 바로 알리기 활동을 하고 있는데요. 지금부터 제가 독도에 대한 올바른 정보를 알려드리겠습니다. 독도는 역사적, 지리적, 국제법적으로 명백하게 대한민국 영토라고 할 수 있어요. 대한민국에 현존하는 가장 오래된 역사책인 삼국사기에 보면 독도는 신라 지증왕 13년, 그러니까 512년 전부터 한국 역사에 등장합니다. 대략 1500년 전부터 독도는 우리의 영토였던 거죠. 독도가 한국 땅이라는 역사적 증거는 이렇게 차고 넘쳐요. 지리적으로 살펴보면 일본 영토에서는 독도가 보이지 않지만 독도와 87km 떨어진 울릉도에서는 독도가 육안으로도 보일 정도로 가깝죠. 그리고 또 한 가지 중요한 사실. 독도에는 대한민국 독도경비대가 상주하고 있어요. 왜냐고요? 독도는 명백하게 대한민국이 지배하는 곳이니까요. 독도가 대한민국 고유의 영토라는 사실, 이제 확실히 아시겠죠? 바로 알리기. 여러분도 함께 해주세요.
Global heritage will unite. We share brilliant values and honor the world's most cherished legacies to pass our heritage on to future generations. Busan invites you. The 48th session of UNESCO World Heritage Committee. July 2026, Busan, Korea.
In our headlines on this Friday, February 6th, here in South Korea, Foreign Minister Cho Hyun reaffirmed Seoul's commitment to carrying out the terms of its trade with Washington, while the White House says it has no timeline for the implementation of higher tariffs on South Korea. Meanwhile, South Korea's benchmark cost per index sees the activation of yet another circuit breaker earlier today as investors engage in a rapid sell-off spree. And South Korea posts its largest ever annual current account surplus of over $123 billion in 2025, driven by stellar shipments of semiconductors overseas. Foreign Minister Cho Hyun has dismissed talk of deliberate delays in legislation to facilitate South Korea's investments into key American industries. Our correspondent Kim Bo-kyung covers his remarks.
South Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Hyun has explained to his U.S. counterpart, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, that Seoul is not deliberately delaying legislation related to a special bill on U.S. investment. Cho told the press at South Korea's embassy in Washington, D.C. on Thursday local time that he had made the remarks during a meeting with Rubio earlier this week. According to Cho, ahead of the talks, Rubio said that while South Korea-U.S. relations are not in a bad state, he wanted to share that there was unfavorable sentiment within the U.S. side regarding the implementation of trade-related commitments. Though trade and investment issues are not directly his responsibility, Rubio said he raised the issue because he oversees overall bilateral ties and suggested the two sides manage the situation through closer diplomatic communication to prevent that negative sentiment from spilling over into other areas. Cho responded by emphasizing the Korean government's commitment to implementing bilateral agreements.
Rubio cautioned against delays in implementing trade commitments, spilling over into broader ties, and we reaffirmed Korea's firm commitment and denied any intentional legislative delay.
He further stressed to Rubio that the joint fact sheet rests on economic and security pillars, and that implementation timelines could vary by issue. While emphasizing that security cooperation should not be hindered by trade-related concerns, he asked Rubio to encourage relevant U.S. agencies to fully engage in three key areas of bilateral cooperation: nuclear energy, nuclear-powered submarines, and shipbuilding. Rubio agreed and said he would closely follow the issues. Meanwhile, Cho also met U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, where Greer reportedly underlined the importance of Seoul implementing progress quickly, not only on U.S. investments, but also on issues related to non-tariff barriers. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
And in related news, the White House has served to put to rest fears here of an imminent implementation of higher U.S. tariffs on South Korean goods into the American market. Our Moon Hae-ryun explains.
The White House says it has not yet decided when higher tariffs threatened by U.S. President Donald Trump on South Korean goods would take effect, leaving Seoul facing continued uncertainty as high-level negotiations remain stalled. Speaking at a briefing on Thursday local time, White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said she did not have a specific timeline for raising tariffs on South Korea from 15% back to 25%, despite the president's earlier warning. She added that the administration's trade team would provide further clarification, signaling that internal discussions are still underway. Trump publicly criticized delays in South Korea's legislative process tied to a bilateral trade agreement and warned he could reinstate higher duties on Korean goods. That move would roll back concessions Washington had offered in exchange for large-scale South Korean investment commitments in the U.S. In response, South Korea's top trade officials rushed to Washington for emergency talks, while Foreign Minister Cho Hyun continues meetings with U.S. policymakers in an effort to prevent the tariff hike. Despite those efforts, Seoul has yet to secure a clear reversal, and government officials say U.S. agencies are still discussing whether and how the tariff increase would be formally announced. Meanwhile, concerns are growing in Seoul that the tariff dispute is spilling into the security arena. National Security Advisor Wi Sung-rak warned that renewed tariff pressure is shaking the broader diplomatic framework South Korea has built with the United States, China, and Japan. In an interview with Gyeongyang Shinmun, Wi said follow-up security consultations with Washington, including talks on nuclear-powered submarines and nuclear fuel issues, have slowed since President Trump revived the tariff threat. He added that multiple trade and regulatory disputes, including digital trade rules and a data breach case involving U.S.-listed e-commerce firm Coupang, are further complicating relations. We cautioned that economic and security issues are now becoming intertwined, urging Seoul to respond carefully while maintaining coordination with its key ally. 문혜련, Arirang News.
Back here in South Korea, the local bourse witnessed dramatic fluctuations this week as it sought to maintain its 5,000 mark. And our Park Chun-han reached out to pundits for their take on the latest market action. Do take a listen.
South Korea's benchmark Kospi delivered one of its most dramatic roller coaster weeks in recent memory, with 3 sessions seeing moves of more than 5% either up or down, triggering a sidecar that halts program trading for 5 minutes. Upon opening on Friday, the local market saw another downturn as the index fell below 5,000 again, which triggered yet another sell-side sidecar at 9:06 a.m. amid continued global tech pressure and a weaker won. By the Kospi's close on Friday at 5,089.14 points, down 1.44% from Thursday, the index had recovered part of its intraday losses, though the week was marked by brutal volatility, plunging on Monday, rising on Tuesday and Wednesday, and retreating again on Thursday and Friday. The volatility was mainly driven by global investors' skepticism over AI investment sustainability, U.S. rate policy uncertainty, and risk aversion moves against speculative assets like Bitcoin and precious metals.
Domestically, the benefits from the semiconductor sector are still carrying through to some extent. However, Korea's stock market cannot fully decouple from the movements of the U.S. market. With U.S. stocks showing signs of weakness recently, combined with foreign investors' less supportive fund flows, these factors are contributing to heightened volatility in the local market.
Domestically, while semiconductor tailwinds persist and individual investors showed resilience, foreign outflows and currency volatility amplified the moves. Also, as one economics professor noted, the market's rapid prior run-up made a correction inevitable.
Kospi has been, rising so dramatically, for the last, I think, 6 months, the price went up almost 100%. So the greatest, surge in Kospi has been necessitated, because of such a great rise. So I think correction is necessary, for the good of the Kospi market.
Looking forward, volatility is likely to stay elevated. While experts remain constructive on the long-term outlook, caution is warranted in the near term as investors closely watch corporate earnings, Federal Reserve signals, and $1 movements. Over the longer run, a rebound in confidence in the AI cycle and resilient demand for Korean chips could help the index stabilize and move higher. but sharp near-term swings remain a clear risk. Junan, Arirang News.
South Korea, meanwhile, saw its largest ever annual current account surplus of over $123 billion last year, supported by stellar shipments of semiconductors overseas. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon has details.
According to the Bank of Korea on Friday, the country's total surplus for 2025 reached $123.05 billion. This figure is an all-time high, as it smashes the previous record set back in 2015 by roughly $17.95 billion. While the semiconductor supercycle was the undeniable protagonist, the central bank notes that the supporting cast was just as important.
Merchandise export grew for 2 consecutive months. IT products, led by semiconductors and communication devices, remained robust, while non-IT sectors like machinery, precision instruments, and pharmaceuticals also expanded.
Driven by this broad-based growth, the goods account posted a surplus of nearly $138.1 billion. Exports alone jumped to over $718 billion, a historic high. The momentum peaked at the very end of the year. In December alone, the surplus hit $18.7 billion, the highest monthly figure ever recorded. This represents a jump of nearly $6 billion from November, extending the country's winning streak to 32 consecutive months in the black. However, the report wasn't entirely positive, meaning the record comes despite obstacles. The services account remained in the red with a deficit of $34.5 billion. While receipts reached $150 billion, payments driven largely by overseas travel exceeded $184 billion. On top of that, financial outflows were massive. Residents' overseas stock investments surged to a record $114.3 billion.
The surge in overseas stock investment by residents acted as a factor that significantly offset the effect of the current account surplus on the foreign exchange market.
Looking ahead, the central bank expects the surplus trend to continue in 2026, driven by the ongoing AI boom, though it warns that external uncertainties such as U.S. trade policies remain a key variable. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
President Lee Jae-myung attended a groundbreaking ceremony for a railroad in the southeastern region of Gyeongsang-namdo province. At the event earlier on this Friday in the city of Koje, he said the railroad would usher in the transition to balanced regional growth, which he added was essential for national sustainability. The Inland Railroad project seeks to connect the southeastern cities of Kimcheon and Koje. It's also expected to dramatically shorten travel time from capital Seoul to the region. The railroad is set to open in the year 2030. And whether out of necessity or desire, more seniors are returning to work after retirement here in South Korea. And industry insiders, as well as legislative leaders, are actively seeking to better support this trend. Our political correspondent An Sung-jin files this report.
Kim Jong-un is 68 years old, and he retired less than a decade ago. For a while, retirement felt like rest. Then it started to feel like stagnation. That's why Kim is back on the job. 3 years ago, he began working as a delivery man, checking delivery routes and delivering food to regular customers.
Older adults doing delivery work. I felt a bit startled at the beginning too. But now, as long as my body allows it, I want to keep working.
Kim is one of the older delivery workers employed by a startup that hires people aged 55 to 74 as delivery personnel for scheduled logistics services.
I think it's a good initiative for these companies to work with government support and hire older workers. We also feel very proud to be doing something.
The company focuses on stable work for active older adults who want to remain economically and socially engaged. It started as an effort to help create workplaces for those who are in poverty or suffer from extreme loneliness.
Our biggest goal is to become a leading HR platform that supplies older workers where human resources are needed.
It's the sense of purpose that what many of those above 60 say they miss after retirement. And that's why both central and local governments, like the Seoul metropolitan government, are pledging to create 330,000 jobs for both public and private for older adults by 2040. And that's what the Seoul Senior Job Support Center has been working on. To address the gap between willing older workers and the market, the center supports seniors like him, offering not only job matching services, but also educational and training programs.
Retirement is not an end. My hands-on experience can be helpful to others and have a meaningful role in society.
Up to now, jobs for older adults have largely focused on public sector positions and relatively simple manual labor. We work on creating opportunities in the private sector employment.
The Health Ministry announced earlier this week that it plans to provide more than 1.15 million jobs for older adults this year, a record number. And that's why a lawmaker says she continues to propose legislation, emphasizing the need for further budget allocation.
Government-provided jobs for these older workers are actually way below demand, but it benefits them in economic, health, and social ways. It's not just welfare, but a social investment as well.
As Korea further advances into a super-age society, the integration of workers like him will be inevitable as they become recognized for their potential as an untapped workforce. An Song-jin, Arirang News.
Elsewhere, a nuclear weapons control treaty signed between the U.S. and Russia expired on Thursday, with President Donald Trump calling for a new treaty that also includes China. Now, China, for its part, has been quick to decline. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump is calling for a new nuclear arms treaty after the expiration of the last major nuclear agreement between the United States and Russia, raising concerns about a possible new arms race. The New START treaty was signed in 2010 and limited deployed strategic nuclear warheads and delivery systems. It was negotiated under President Barack Obama and extended under President Joe Biden. With this expiration, there are now no binding limits on the two countries' strategic nuclear arsenals. President Trump on Thursday called the deal badly negotiated. Posting on Truth Social, he urged nuclear experts to begin work on a new and modernized treaty. Russia had already halted inspections under the treaty as relations with Washington worsened. This week, Moscow said it no longer considers itself bound by warhead limits. The Trump administration wants China included in any future pact. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said China must be part of future nuclear arms talks, citing its rapidly growing stockpile.
Obviously, the president's been clear in the past that in order to have true arms control in the 21st century, it's impossible to do something that doesn't include China because of their vast and rapidly growing stockpile.
However, Beijing has rejected that push, calling the treaty's expiration regrettable and urging the U.S. and Russia to resume talks on stability. The Foreign Ministry stressed that China strictly adheres to a self-defense nuclear strategy. Meanwhile, President Trump endorsed Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi ahead of Japan's general elections on Sunday, calling her a strong and wise leader. Japanese media predict the ruling coalition could win a solid majority. Pundits say Takaichi supports constitutional revision to expand Japan's military role, and Trump's endorsement could influence the debate as voters head to the polls. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Over in Italy, the opening ceremony of this year's Winter Olympics begins on Friday in Milan, and our correspondent Park Ganusha is with us. The prospects of Team Korea at the Games this time around.
Team Korea's gold rush begins as soon as the 2026 Winter Games get underway, with the opening ceremony set for Friday at 8 p.m. local time. 71 athletes will compete across 12 sports disciplines over the next 2 weeks. Attention automatically turns to short track speed skating, traditionally one of Korea's strongest events. From three-time Olympian Cho Hyun to the IOC's recently selected top 10 rising star Im Jong-won, Korea heads onto the ice with medal hopes in 9 events, spanning relays and individual races. With around 30 winter Olympic gold medals in its history, expectations are once again running high. And for good reason, as the country's only 2 gold medals at the previous Beijing Games both came in short track. But Korea will need to stay alert with strong competitors like Canada, showing sharp improvements this season.
Anything can happen in short track speed skating because all it takes is a fall, a disqualification. So while Seoul is the favorite among the women for these Olympics, the fact that Korea has a good number of qualified skaters that could challenge for the gold, I think bodes well.
Speed skating is another arena where Korea has made its mark with 20 Olympic golds to date. This time, skaters including Kim Min-sun and Lee Na-yeon are expected to lead the charge. Figure skating also carries historic weight as third-time Olympic participant Cha Hyun aims to finally deliver Korea's first-ever Olympic medal in men's figure skating. And beyond the ice, a new story might be unfolding in snow, where athletes like Cho Hyun could deliver surprises and keep the door open for an unexpected medal.
One particular athlete that I'm actually most excited to watch for these Winter Olympics, I turn to snowboarding, which is kind of weird because Korea's never been strong in snowboarding, but they have a brand new 17-year-old sensation named.
And that comes as Trey has emerged as a strong medal contender in the discipline, named by Forbes recently, following 3 international victories in the previous months. From the ice to the snow, Team Korea moves into Milan-Cortina with ambition, setting its sights on at least 3 gold medals and a top 10 finish. 박건희, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. Ukraine and Russia on Thursday concluded a second round of peace talks in Abu Dhabi and carried out a prisoner exchange. A U.S. brokered agreement led to the release of 314 prisoners of war, marking the first such swap between the two sides in 5 months. President Vladimir Zelensky said some of those released had been held for nearly 4 years. He confirmed that both sides will likely move to the next phase of negotiations, possibly in the United States. But sharp divisions still remain as Ukraine continues to reject Russian demands for territorial concessions. Nigeria's president on Thursday deployed soldiers to Kwara State after gunmen killed about 170 people in a nighttime assault on a village in the region. The attack in Wado village late Tuesday is among the deadliest this year in the troubled state area, increasingly exposed to violence by armed extremist groups. President Bola Tinubu condemned the attack as barbaric and said the troop deployment aims to stop further attacks and secure remote communities. Survivors of Tuesday's attack say the gunmen targeted the community specifically for refusing to submit to extremist Sharia rule. Security experts now warn that ISIS-linked factions are aggressively expanding their territory from the north toward the southern Kaindi forest. The Trump administration on Thursday unveiled sweeping changes that would allow the president to more easily fire as many as 50,000 federal employees. The overhaul targets workers that the administration says shape policy without accountability. This move reclassifies 50,000 career employees, effectively stripping them of their long-standing job protections. This grants the president direct authority to terminate any staffer deemed an obstacle to his policy agenda. The administration claims the latest move will ensure government efficiency. Worker unions are challenging the move in court. Cho Hyun, Arirang News.
Just yesterday morning, Seoul didn't feel too cold with temperatures around 2 degrees Celsius. But this morning was a totally different story with temperatures dropping to minus 8.2 degrees. As cold air made a comeback, cold wave warnings have been widened across the country. Looking ahead, heavy snow is expected for the Jeolla-do provinces and Jeju Island over the next couple of days. Please make sure to be ready for possible heavy snowfall. Seoul will start off at minus 12 degrees tomorrow morning with Chuncheon at minus 14 degrees. Daily highs will only reach minus 4 degrees in Seoul, minus 1 degree in Gwangju even during the day. Dry weather advisories have been issued for Seoul, with dry conditions spreading further around eastern parts of the country. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Our next newscast comes your way at 8 in the evening Korea Standard Time. Coming up now is our daily panel session, so do stay with us.
Right now, the new shopping game is starting.
저희 누나가 발레를 하다 보니까 자연스럽게 누나 발레 학원에 따라가서 누나가 하는 모습을 보니까 저도 하고 싶다고 생각이 조금 들어서 발레 음악에 맞춰서 아무 춤이나 추다 보니까 그냥 그 음악에 맞춰서 제가 몸을 움직이는 게 재밌다고 느껴졌었는지 발레를 계속 하고 있더라고요. 나이가 좀 어릴 때 제가 가진 장점이 무엇인지도 모르고 아예 제가 가진 단점도 모를 때 발레를 시작했다 보니까 제일 큰 문제가 이제 평발이었던 것 같아요. 평발이다 보니까 발레를 할 때 쥐가 조금 많이 나는 편이라 그거를 견뎌가면서 춤을 계속 춰야 했던 거 그게 가장 극복하기 힘들었던 것 같고요. 제가 다리가 다른 친구들보다 조금 두껍다고 해서 제 다리를 조금 싫어했었는데 근데 이제 로잔에 갔다 오고 나서 오히려 제 다리에서 나오는 파워풀한 힘이 좋았다고 해주시는 분들도 있다는 걸 느껴가지고 그 두 개가 가장 극복하기도 힘들었고 기억에 남는 것 같아요. 프릭스티 로잔이라는 콩쿨 자체가 학생들 사이에서는 가장 크고 의미 있는 콩쿨이다 보니 제가 그 로잔 영상을 보면서 자라왔기 때문에 그 무대에 서서 제가 춤을 췄다는 것 자체가 엄청 인상 깊었던 것 같아요. 제가 걸어왔던 길, 이게 맞는 방법일까? 근데 그런 의구심을 다 없앨 수 있게 제가 가는 길이 맞았다라는 거를 확인시켜줬던 것 같아요. 그래서 그런 감정이 들어서 조금 감격스러웠던 것 같아요. 한 배역에만 잘 잘 할 수 있는 명수가 아니라 어떠한 배역을 받아도 다 넣어서 소화해낼 수 있는 그런 스펙트럼이 넓은 명수가 되고 싶습니다.
South Korea and Canada are seeking ways to foster momentum for broader industrial partnership in strategic sectors. With more on Press Perspective today. Hello, welcome to Press Perspective. It's Friday, February 6th here in Seoul. I'm Min Sun-hee. Major economies are seeking long-term reliable trade partners to ensure sustainable as well as resilient growth, and South Korea and Canada are no exceptions. For more on this, I have Stephen Borg with Japanese weekly news magazine Nikkei Asia here in the studio. Stephen, welcome back.
Happy Friday to everyone.
I also have Chloe Bogno with French broadcaster France 24 here in the studio with us. Chloe, it's great to have you here.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Right, Stephen, we start with you. So Canada's Secretary of State for Defense Procurement, Stephen Pho, was here in South Korea this week. Let's start off with the purpose of his visit.
I think the purpose of his visit, I mean, I'm sure it was manyfold, but I think the kind of main thing that we would focus on in our discussion is that he was assessing some potential bidders for a major Canadian submarine project. So Canada is looking, the submarine fleet that it currently has, I think they are aiming to, or should I say we? Should I say, because I'm a Canadian, should I say we are aiming? I don't know, I'm confused about these things.
For sure, we sounds good.
Okay, so we are looking to renew our fleet of submarines by around 2030. And so Canada has one of the, perhaps even the longest coastline in the world, and there could be all kinds of, in this new and less predictable world order that we're living in, I think that Canada is kind of looking down the road and seeing that it's going to be ever more important to have top-notch surveillance capabilities in those areas and potential combat abilities in those areas. And South Korea, as we all know, is an industrial powerhouse and an emerging force in the global arms procurement sector. And so Stephen Pho visited Hanwha, and I think he visited Hyundai too, and he was assessing some of their capabilities. He visited a shipyard in Jeolla-do Island, I believe, in the south of the country, and he visited a Hyundai Heavy Industries facility in Pangyo, which is just in the kind of Silicon Valley of Korea, just south of Seoul. And so I believe that, as far as I know, South Korea is a kind of leading candidate for this project, and the two sides are seeing where things stand, and I think looking for areas of mutual complementarity.
Right, indeed. And Stephen, could you briefly tell us a bit more about the Canadian Patrol Submarine project? How big is this project, and when can we expect to see the first submarines perhaps going to Canada?
It involves 12 submarines, I believe, and I think it's worth 60 billion Canadian dollars, which is, I think, is something like 44 billion US or no, maybe even less than that. I don't follow the Forex markets as close as I should, but 60 billion Canadian dollars, that much I know. And I think the plan is to have these submarines procured and kind of in the early stages of getting ready to go by 2028 so that they are able to be fully functional by 2030. And so, I mean, I think just to like unpack the kind of bigger meaning of this, like when you look at the Canadian government's comments on this, like with a lot of like government statements, you need to kind of read between the lines a little bit. And there's a number of kind of subtle allusions to growing global challenges and the changing world order. And of course, just the backdrop of this is that Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney made a very show-stealing speech at the Davos gathering pretty recently. And he said things about how we are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition in the global world order, and that smaller countries like Canada were going to have to adapt to this world order where greater powers were more apt to use their size to coerce smaller countries. And so middle power countries such as Canada were going to have to make alternate arrangements. So they're going to really try to harness whatever their strengths are. Like you mentioned, Canada being a major exporter of energy. Canada also has a geographical advantage in that it occupies this like very big and very strategic area. But just to channel the core purpose of this submarine project is occupying a big and strategic geographic area is an advantage, but it also entails a great deal of responsibility because you have to manage this area, you have to survey it, you have to make sure you know what's happening there and be able to protect your interests there. As we all know, because of climate change and any number of other factors, the Arctic is an area of growing global significance. There are more countries competing for influence there. If you've been reading the news, you've probably seen that Greenland in recent weeks and months has been, for normally a pretty quiet part of the world, has been in the news a lot. I'm sure Canadian policymakers are aware of that and are looking to buttress their interests in that area as best they can. And it looks like they might be able to finagle some help from South Korean firms to that end.
Right, and staying with this, Chloe, just days before this trip by the Canadian delegation to South Korea, Presidential Chief of Staff Kang Hoon-sik led a South Korean delegation to Canada. Could you tell us a bit about the South Korean delegation's visit?
Yes, so it was just end of January, so last week. So as you said, very door-to-door delegation going from one country to the others. It's to note that it was a high-level delegation. So there was Kang Hoon-sik as the Presidential Special Envoy for Strategic Economic Cooperation. It's kind of a new position that was made for him. And he was with the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Defense Acquisition Program Administration, and the head of some of the country top shipbuilders, because they are supposed to be making the idea of the bid from South Korea is a consortium with multiple shipbuilders that would be working together to make the new submarines for Canada. So it is all part of the Lee Jae-myung administration flagship defense export initiatives. The goal is actually to elevate South Korea from the position, like 10 positions at the moment in the exports of weapons, to the world top 4 defense exporters. And so the delegation was in Canada to promote the Korean deal and the Korean bid, because as we were seeing, they are one of the top contenders and they are like up against Germany for now. So it was a way to kind of wow the Canadian government and try to show the strengths of South Korea to try to get the bid a bit further in their position.
Right, and speaking about this bid, Steve, we understand why this particular project is very important for Canada. What makes winning the bid for the Canadian Patrol Submarine project important for South Korea, do you think?
I would just say, I mean, on an industry like this, every kind of big project is important strictly by virtue of its size. I mean, this is a kind of industry that functions in this very lumpy sort of way. Countries, as we know, this is a project that's meant to take place 12 years from now. So this is it's a very long-term, very sort of a lot is riding on every decision because the decisions are very entail a lot of strategic significance and a lot of money. So in the arms industry, you've really got to go in on every bid because there just simply are not that many of them. So if South Korea were to win this bid, there's just the immediate resulting benefits of it brings in a whole bunch more revenue for this company, it creates jobs, it raises South Korea's international profile in this area. And just more specifically, when it comes to Canada, if they were to sell to Canada, this is a major G7 country, a major Western country, a country that is in the Western Hemisphere, the Northern Hemisphere, and I think it just it's different geographically. It would entail a lot more exposure for South Korea as a maker of submarines, and just as we've been discussing, as the Arctic becomes more and more of a priority, and as coastal surveillance becomes more and more of a priority, it would significantly raise South Korea's profile. So it's significant in a number of areas, I think.
Right. Now, South Korea's Hanwha Ocean Chloe faces competition from Germany's ThyssenKrupp for Canada's submarine project. Now, this German conglomerate, I believe, is close to concluding a submarine deal with India. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so according to the media, especially local media, but and also specialized press, the deal is about to be finalized. So India and Germany are in the last step of the intergovernmental agreement. So that's kind of nearly a done deal. It's clearing the way for officials to sign the main contract, and it would be happening probably through a visit from German officials in India by the end of March. So that's according to specialized press. That seems to be kind of quite sure of what they're saying there. So what we're speaking about is the deal that's worth around $10 billion to build the next generation conventional submarines for India. So a bit like for Canada, India is trying to replace its fleet. It's been already starting to replace some, and there are need by 2030 as well to be replacing the last ones. There's multiple reasons for that. So they want to strengthen their defense. They want to modernize the technology. And that's also why they will be calling for the German for that. And also the idea will be to create jobs in India for the local economy that has been quite impacted by the tariffs deals made by Donald Trump earlier last year, actually. So the deal is between India's leading shipbuilding company and Germany ThyssenKrupp, I'm not saying it as well as you, marine system, and they will be building the submarines together. And so, yeah, there's kind of a sense of emergency and urgency for India as they have to retire the older submarines quite soon, and also the idea would be that thanks to those new submarines, they will also be up to date for the technology, because in this kind of environment, it's always useful to be up to date with the others in the same area.
Right, for sure. Meanwhile, back here in the country, Stephen, there are quite a number of pundits here who believe that the security partnership inked by President Lee Jae-myung and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney on the sidelines of the APEC summit in Gyeongju late last year would perhaps raise Hanwha's chances of winning this bid. That being said, could you tell us a bit more about the security partnership signed between South Korea and Canada?
Well, I was reviewing the wording of it, in preparation for today, and it contains, like a lot of big international diplomatic agreements, you kind of have to look at the subtext, and you have to kind of maybe read between the lines a little bit. Like quite near the beginning of it, it refers to a deteriorating international security environment. I mean, I would love to be in a Q&A. I wish they had a Q&A session down in Gyeongju, because I would have loved to ask, like, what are the specific ways in which you feel as though the international security environment is deteriorating, and who is driving those deteriorations, and what are you planning to do about them? Unfortunately, we didn't get that opportunity, but clearly the two countries recognize that something is happening that they feel as though they need to adapt to, and that they need to raise their security capabilities to respond to. And there's another clause that I thought was noteworthy is they said that threats to our security and prosperity are more interconnected than ever before, and that security across regions is increasingly interlinked. And so they specifically, the regions that they have in mind is the kind of broader Asia-Pacific region and then the broader kind of Euro-Atlantic region. And so we don't know exactly what went on behind the scenes and what these two leaders talked about when they were able to get into specifics away from the nosy ears of reporters like me. But I mean, you have to just assume that with the intensifying great power rivalry between the United States and China, and with both of the world's two biggest powers acting as though they care less about old customs of international affairs than ever before, about what we've been calling the rules-based international order, the idea that there are norms that discourage more powerful countries from using their size and their power to exert influence on smaller countries. That is changing, and it seems as though these two countries are just seeking to adapt to those changes. And I think the publics in both of these countries, if either Carney or President Lee were to go in front of their publics and explain why they see each other as viable partners at this point, and why they see each other as, despite being in very different parts of the world, as having perhaps more than ever in common and having a more urgent reason to cooperate, I think that would be a message that most members of those countries would agree with and would be supportive of this kind of increased togetherness.
Right. Moving forward, Chloe, quite a number of South Korea's defense exports clientele are European. Tell us a bit about them, and what's the latest on that front with regard to South Korea's defense exports? Yeah, so as I was saying before, the goal for South Korea is by 2030 to be in the top 4 defense exporters. They're currently in the top 10. So the idea was to kind of market towards 2 specific places, the Middle East and Europe, because they are the ones with the most demand actually at the moment. So according to the presidential office at the end of 2025, they were saying that the total value of ongoing defense procurement projects under discussion with European countries would be worth $56.2 billion. So they're not the ones who are done, they're the ones in negotiation and is being discussed, the one that can be actually talked about, because we can imagine that there might be some deals that are in too much early stage to be discussed. We can see through the itinerary of the different delegations this time and also in October when they were going there. We don't know exactly which countries they've been to, but we know that they've been for sure to Romania, to Poland, to Norway. And this, if we look at those countries, they're the one with whom South Korea is making the most deal at the moment. So Poland is doing 46% of South Korea's arms sales. It's kind of expected of them because they're very close to Ukraine and to Russia. So we know that since the beginning of the Russian war in Ukraine, Poland has been really demanding to get a better defense and rearm itself. It's kind of what's happening in Europe, but Poland was one of the main one. So we know that South Korea has been selling tanks and jets to them since 2022, actually. And Poland has been appraising the fact that South Korea is very fast to deliver. They're also adapting very well to the demand. So we know that Poland is kind of a very big market for South Korea at the moment. Romania, there is a project to acquire new infantry fighting vehicles. There again, it would be $3.5 billion project, and we know that Hanwha is kind of placing itself on the bid at the moment to kind of get this contract. And then Norway, that was revealed actually very recently this week. Hanwha Aerospace said on Monday that they won the contract to supply long-range artillery system and rockets to the country. So that's a very fresh new deal that just happened. There's still some difficulties that could happen for South Korea, and one of the main one is that Europe is developing new rules for its industrial defense, and they'll trying to get the favoring systems where European companies would be more involved into the manufacturing or the design. So there is a risk for South Korea that products that would be designed and manufactured in South Korea might have harder time at one point to get into the European market, as Europe is also trying to defend its own defense and manufacturing industry.
Right. Against the backdrop of those challenges then, Stephen, as Chloe mentioned earlier, the Lee Jae-myung administration is seeking to rank South Korea within the top 5, specifically speaking 4th as an arms exporter. That being said, who are the current top 5 as we speak, and how does South Korea seek to hope to, that is, achieve this ambitious goal?
believe there are the U.S., France, Russia, China, and Germany. I believe those are the top 5, and I think South Korea, according to the Stockholm Research Institute's latest ranking, South Korea is 10th. As to how they plan to do that, I think there are some pretty clear parallels between South Korea's rise in the arms industry as in some other industries, whereas it carved out its international position by being able to compete on speed and price initially. So, you know, a big, as Chloe was just alluding to, like a big turning point for the industry here came in recent years as South Korea was able to step in and provide quick and accurate shipments of artillery to countries like Poland and other countries that just so happen to be on the western fringe of Russia's sphere of influence. And so South Korea has been able to take advantage of the fact that it has this quite robust industrial production capacity, and it has, you know, South Korean companies tend to be very disciplined and very reliable, and, you know, able to turn in orders on time and at very competitive prices. This is the way that South Korea carved out its space in shipbuilding and in, you know, however many other areas of manufacturing. But as any professor of economics will tell you, there's a kind of diminishing returns in having that approach to businesses, because eventually other competitors are able to catch up. And if you really want to be viable over the long term, it has to come from innovation. So I imagine what the you know, behind in boardrooms of these South Korean defense firms, what they're really talking about is investing in their research and development and investing in innovative capacity and trying to get to a place where they are producing goods that other companies do not know how to produce. So I think the short answer to how South Korea is going to get to being a top 5 defense exporter, I think, is going to have to come from, you know, some good fortune and a lot of hard work with in investing in new and more innovative products. I think it's also going to have to come from a lot of state support. You know, South Korea is still a far smaller country than some of economically than the 5 countries that we mentioned earlier, and some of the countries that are in the 7 through 9 range. But this country has a real can-do spirit. I think there's, given the challenges in the economy nowadays, the current government has a really strong incentive to bolster export-oriented industries, you know, just for purposes of job creation and for purposes of international competitiveness. So it will be something to watch in the coming years.
Right, indeed. And in the meantime, Chloe, what do you suppose is driving South Korea's campaign for broader defense export diplomacy, if you will?
Yeah, so there's, first of all, the increasing demand from outside countries. As I was just saying and touching upon before, but the wars that are happening at the moment, they're a reminder for most countries that they have to rearm themselves and that defense should not be taken lightly. And we've seen that, especially so since the war of Russia against Ukraine in Europe, for example, but we also know that Israel and Gaza has been also playing a big game, like in the Middle East, about reinforcing the arm industries. And then there's another thing, again, a bit more about Europe probably, but NATO's commitment that each member country has said that they will increase their contribution to defense, to national defense, to 5% of their GDP. The minimum at the moment was supposed to be 2%. Most of them are not even reaching the 2%. So going up to 5%, which is a demand by Donald Trump once again, it's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of money from all those countries. And most of them do not have necessarily the national capacities to do it by themselves. So they might turn to other countries, and South Korea being one of them. And as Stephen was saying, there's this thing that they are capable of being fast and being able to deliver quickly, so that could play a big role there. And then there's also the weakening of some other key competitors. We're speaking about the top 10. So, I mean, the US are #1 in defense exportation, but because of tariffs ordered by Donald Trump and the war of tariffs that he's been making, there's been retaliatory measures from some partners who decided to turn away from the US on some aspects that they could do. So maybe weapon exportation would be having a hard time with that. And then the other thing is rising costs, disrupted supply chains that make it harder for the companies like defense industry to be reliable in the delivery. The other one that's also been weakened at the moment is Israel. For some time they were increasing their arms sales, but in the same time they need to keep their national industry for themselves, and there was also some backlash because of the war in Gaza. So for example, Slovenia has recently said that there will be no more export or import of weapons between them and Israel as long as the war in Gaza was going on. So that's kind of the thing that could be playing a good thing for South Korea, because if your competitors are getting weaker, then you have more chance to be selling it to more customers and to get to higher top rank.
Right, essentially to expand its clientele then. All right, Chloe, I'm afraid that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
Stephen, thank you very much for your time and thoughts.
Thank you.
Right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Press Perspective. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. See you same time next Monday.
How to survive in Korea. Barbecue restaurants. Step 1. Taking care of your clothes. Put your jacket in the plastic bag. Seal it tight. If the stool flips open, store your clothes inside. Wearing light colors? Grab an apron. It's the best defense against oil splatter and smoke. Step 2. Bottomless side dishes. Basic side dishes at a barbecue restaurant. Eat, and eat as much as you want. Side dishes come with free refills. Oh, and if you don't see this sign, just ask, 사장님, 여기 밑반찬 좀 더 주세요. Simple, isn't it? Step 3. Grilling meat. There are various kinds of samgyeopsal in Korea. Place the meat on the grill. Turn it over when golden. And again when it looks done. Again and again and again. Step 4. Sam style. You aren't taking bites of sam like a taco, are you? In Korea, we have it in one bite. A pro tip here. Add only as much as you can handle in a bite. Gotta avoid awkward situations. Step 5. Enjoy the perks. After the meal, enjoy the perks offered as a Korean restaurant. Fabric refreshers get rid of the barbecue smell, while mint candies freshen your breath. Did you survive the barbecue restaurant? Hang on. Are you here with someone you want to impress? Then let's skip the garlic. Who knows what will happen?